Kenny Baker, R2-D2.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
It's still afternoon, isn't it? Yeah, it is, right. Nice to see you. Thank you. I'll give you a flash later. What am I saying? What am I saying? What would you like to know? I mean, I think most of you know more about the Star Wars movies than we do. Or than I do, I should say. What can I go back to? 1976. When you weren't even born, most of you. And, not you, I mean, I can see you're an old man like me, you know. They used to say, look at that funny little man. No, first of all, the kids used to say, look at that little man. And then I got a little bit older, and then they say, look at that funny little man. And now they say, look at that funny little old man. So I'm afraid that's what happens to you when you get older, you see. But anyway, going back to Star Wars, in 1976, when I was about 18. I'd never been kissed. Lovely legs. Shame about the face, but the legs are beautiful. Now, where was I? And I'm sober, for Christ's sake. We were in 1976, and I was doing television in England, a show called Opportunity Knocks, you see, which was a talent show, basically. And there were two of us, me and Jawa, you know, Jack Purvis, who was head of the Jawas. Well, Jack and I had a double act in England, a vaudeville, what you call vaudeville over here. We had a cabaret act, and we played every theatre, every club you could think of. For 30 years we were together. But this was 1976 we were together, and suddenly my agent said to me, you won't know his name, anyway, he said to me, go up to London, because there's somebody up in London that's looking for a little guy to get into the robot, because they built the robot, and they couldn't find anybody to get into it, because it was too small, you see. So they said, they've got to find somebody small. So I went up with Jack, my partner, because I thought, well, I can't just take off in a movie and leave Jack starving to death, you see, it's basically. So we both went up, and I got the part straight away. George and Gary Kurtz and Robert Watts looked at me and went, he'll do. And that was how I got the part. I didn't have to audition, I didn't do any of that. So I said, what part? They said, you're in a robot. Well, the following week, I was also on English television in this show called Opportunity Knocks with Jack. And I thought, what do I want to be stuck in a robot for? I could be a star on television next week. So I turned it down. And I said, no, I don't know about being in Star Wars. I didn't even know what the name of the film was going to be. I said, I don't want to really be stuck in it. Who wants to be stuck in a robot? And 1976, in England, the weather was like you've got here now. It was 80 and 90 degrees heat, which in England was unusual, to say the least. And I thought, oh hell, that could be murder, stuck inside a robot in this heat. So I turned it down. And I went home. And about a week later, Les Dilley and Norman Reynolds, the art department guys, you'll know who I'm talking about, no doubt. They both turned up at my house. And they said, you've got to do this movie. I said, why? They said, because we can't find anybody else to get into the robot. Because I happen to have a small bum, you see, like that. And it just fitted inside the robot. And I've also got short arms, which also helped. Because most little guys have got long arms, like Warwick, you know, he's got quite long arms. And my wife at the time, she was quite big at the hips, you know, and she couldn't get into the robot either, you see. So we had, so they said, you've got to name your own price. I said, what do you mean, name my own price? They said, they've got to use you, they can't find anybody else. I said, but I don't really want to do it. I said, well, they might offer you thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds or whatever you want. But anyway, I didn't get into that, because I had an agent at the time who was booking us in cabaret anyway. So it was his job to go and speak, you know, about the money. Didn't even enter my mind to say, oh, I won't do it for X amount of dollars. I just didn't get to that stage. And eventually, after about 2 or 3 weeks, I thought, well, we can still do our Opportunity Knocks and still do the movie. So this is what we did. We did Opportunity Knocks. As it happened, we came third with Love Together and Champagne, 2 pop groups. And Champagne won because they had 2 gorgeous girls with big boobs, you see. So the 4 of them won. So they won, and we came third. But really, we weren't really in the show to win anyway, because unless you're a recording or a singer where they can make money on you, you know, you've got no chance. I mean, we were just in the show to make up a show, to give it a bit of variety, make it feel more like a variety or vaudeville show. But we had some fun. We did the show, then we went back to the All Winners show, although we didn't win. It was just to make up the show, make it more of a variety show, you see. And then we got into the Star Wars bit, and I was going to Harlesden in those days. Remember that studio in Harlesden, in northwest London, with the Lee Electric boys, and Lee Electrics. Do you know about Lee Electrics? Anyway, they were the lighting boys, and they had this studio in North London. And I used to keep going down there to the art department and the special effects to get this robot, you see. So I get into the damn thing, and we couldn't move it. It just would not move. So they had to free the leg somehow. They got the leg to move. And then I thought, how am I going to move it? Because every time I went like this, that leg went back. And if I put that leg forward, that leg went back. And I was going nowhere. So they said, well, we put some wheels on. And I had roller skate. I used to roller skate and ice skate. So I could skate anyway. So they said, well, we'll put skates on. But they couldn't really put skates on because it was too wobbly. So they thought, well, we'll put rollers on. And then the same thing happened again. I just went, you know, like that. I was rolling around all over the place with no control. So then they put ratchets on. So the only way it would roll was forwards and not backwards. That was okay, except I could only really go like 4 inches per leg, like this. And it weighed about 70 pounds. And at the time I weighed 70 pounds. And I weigh 84 pounds now, it's there somewhere, you know. It's Guinness. Because I went to Ireland and that's when I discovered Guinness. I make a fortune in Ireland, they think I'm a leprechaun. Anyway, what we're talking about. Oh, anyway, I couldn't get this robot to move anyway, could I get this damn robot to move? And one day I went like that. And they said, hey, that looks good. So while I'm doing this, because there was a suspension in both sides, there was a little spring somewhere, I can't remember where it was now, but there was a spring. And it would spring like this. So, well, that feels good. So then while it was in the air, I'd move it forward, and then same thing with this leg. So I could move, but it was only still very slow, just about like this. So when they did the chases, up and down corridors with stormtroopers and God knows what chasing us, I had no chance. So then that's when they developed the 3rd leg. Now I've got a 3rd leg, but it ain't that big, you know. So, and mine's not electric either. So they developed this robot with the 3rd leg, and it just sat back and then took off. And they developed these things with remote control, but they sometimes go haywire, because you know you get these, what's the thing I'm trying to say, telephones, they pick up taxis and aeroplanes and all kinds of things. Well, this is what happened with the robots. They suddenly go haywire. And we were around the desert eventually, we got out to Tunisia. You say Tunisia, and we say Tunisia. But anyway, there you go, we're out to Tunisia, filming. And when the scene before Mark Hamill buys me, who sold me to Mark Hamill? Somebody sold me to Mark Hamill. Can't remember who it. Yeah, there you go, see, you know more about the movie than I do. So in that particular scene, anyway, we were out in the desert, and there was about 3 or 4 or even more R2 units in different colours. I was the blue and silver. There was a red one, and there was a blue one. They were all different colours. And I'm wobbling away across the desert like this in my robot. And Jack Purvis, who was the Jawa, I don't know what he was doing actually. He was next to me on the desert anyway. He said, look out, there's another robot coming. And there was one of these three-legged jobs coming towards me at about 25 miles an hour. And I didn't know, because I'm inside I don't know what's going on outside. All I can see is very little, but I've got these opaque perspex, and everything looks further away than it actually was. So I'm in this thing, and what's he talking about? There's a robot coming there, bang, and it hit me. And I'm just sort of keeled over like this. Didn't knock me completely over, but I didn't know what the heck it was. I thought there was a seagull had hit me or something. And these robots were very sort of unpredictable, for one word, was one way of describing them. You never knew what they were going to do next. So that's why I was in the movie, mainly because even if they didn't use me, and they used the remote control, if they ever went haywire, which they often did, I was on standby. Which was nice, because I was getting paid anyway. And at the time I lived in Bushey, which is Watford, which is about 5 miles from Elstree, where we were based, in England. And so I lived within 10 minutes drive of the studio. So eventually I got into Pat Carr, the lady that seemed to be running the show those days. I said, listen Pat, don't call me in for 7:30 or 6 o'clock in the bloody morning when I'm not going to do anything all day. Why don't you leave me at home, and then when you get to the scene that you think I might be used in, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and I get into the robot as I am, like this. Because I dress for the occasion, as you can see. Yeah, that's what I did. I wore shorts, t-shirt, and sandals. And that's all I wore, you know, I just used to jump straight into the robot. No makeup, no wig. It was easy. And then I just wobbled around for a few days, and that was it. Anyway, that's what I did. I was days on end. I used to lay in my back garden sunbathing, hoping they wouldn't call me. And that was the first Star Wars. Oh, we went out to Tunisia anyway in the aeroplane, and we'd never met Alec Guinness. And we thought, what's Alec Guinness going to be like? You know, what's he doing in a movie like this? Because really, in those days, you wouldn't connect Alec Guinness with his status as an actor in a science fiction type of movie, would you really? I'm going back 20 years. I thought, what's he doing in this movie? He must know more about this than we do. You know, it just didn't make much sense to me at the time. So anyway, we met him on the aeroplane, you see, and as we walked in, he was sitting there. And somebody was stood there saying, this is Sir Alec Guinness. And so, oh, hello, Sir Alec, so pleased to meet you. He said, please, don't call me Sir Alec, just call me Alec. But really, you couldn't. He had this sort of aura about him. He had so much respect. But you just couldn't call him Alec. I mean, you know, like an electrician, you know. So we called him Sir Alec. Whether he liked it or not, we still called him Sir Alec. And he was a great guy. See, and we get on the plane and we flew to Tunisia. And we actually go to an island called Dar Jerba. And Jack had his wife with him, and I had my wife with me. And it was this beautiful hotel on the island of Dar Jerba, just off the coast. And so we're all there, we're partying all night, having a ball, you know. And then we had to be up at 6 to get into a car to drive to Tozeur, T-O-Z-E-U-R or something, which is like 6 hours drive into nowhere, into a desert, towards Algeria. And when we get there, it's raining. And the streets were just floods of mud, and there were no pavements or sidewalks, as we call them pavements. There was no sidewalks. There was no glass in the windows. It was just a hole in the wall. These flat, square, little, like what we call bungalows. You know, they're just 1 story high. And it was a terrible place. It was just like Jesus Christ had walked out the back door and we walked in the front door. Because they just looked as though they're all like back in the Christian, you know, the early days of the Bible. They haven't changed. Unbelievable. And there's this head man of the village sitting there with a big white beard. And all he did was look. I wonder what he thought. I'd love to know what was going through his mind. And then up in the sky, like at 25, 30,000 feet, there are vapor trails of aeroplanes flying to Johannesburg, or in that general direction, south. I wonder what he thought they were. Maybe he thought they were shooting stars or something. Anyway, so then we meet all the electric boys, you see, in the hotel, the first night in Dar Jerba, and we're all saying, what did Alec Guinness say to you? You see? And my partner Jack, who had a slightly warped sense of humour, a bit like Boba Fett, he said, They said to Jack, what did Alec Guinness say to you? He said, oh, he just said, get out of the way, get out of the way. Yes. And that night, Alec Guinness said to one of the Electric Boys, what did Jack say? So they told him what Jack had said. They said to Alec Guinness, Jack said that when we asked him what did you say to him, he said that you said to Jack, get out of the way, you see, and ignored you completely. So when we get out to the desert, eventually filming in the canyon, we had a day off, because obviously, you know, we don't all film every day. So we both had a day off. But Jack went up the canyon to watch the filming with Peter Diamond, the stunt coordinator. And it's great, you know, watching the filming in the canyon. And there's Alec Guinness there doing his bit. See, and they said, cut! So they stopped filming. And Jack's sitting on a rock, like this, see. He's there, and Alec Guinness is up here somewhere. And he's doing his bit, and they say, cut! So that's that, see. And Alec Guinness walks away, and he's still got all his gear, his wig on and all the business. And Jack's sitting on this rock, and he's coming towards him. And he thought, what a professional actor this guy is. He's still rehearsing. And he's getting closer and closer and closer. And Jack's right there. And as he got up to Jack, he went, get out of the way. And that was months later. He remembered what Jack had said about it, you know. Beautiful, isn't it? He remembered it. And then that same day, I met him later on in the afternoon, driving around. He had a Mercedes at his disposal. And he took me to an oasis, which I'd never seen before. And there were all this circle of palm trees and a lake, just in the middle of nowhere. It was strange. And then we had the sets out in the desert. And we were sitting there one day, and what was his name? John special effects on the first.
John Steers.
Yeah, John Steers. He had a motorbike. He took a motorbike with him. I don't know how he did that, but he did. He took a motorbike and some binoculars. And he's looking around, and he said, there's somebody coming across the horizon. And you just saw it was like Lawrence of Arabia. It was always shimmering like this. And I couldn't see a thing looking out. What's he talking about? And a guy was walking across the desert with a camel. And he's going, and he walked like a camel. He's going. And he got closer and closer. And all the Lee boys, they were all Londoners, you know, go blimey, mate, come on, let's go and have a drink. Talk like this, and they say, oi, you, oi, mate, come over here, come and have a drink. And this whoever he was, he just walked away from and Camel just kept walking. Camel just kept walking away. This guy came across. They gave him some fruit. He wouldn't drink any alcohol. He just had water, some fruit, and did all this business. And then walked away and just walked after the camel and disappeared. Went on forever until he just completely, how did he know where he was going? He didn't have any maps. There was no road signs to anywhere. Wasn't even any roads. Amazing, aren't these guys? He was a nomad. He could have been smuggling dope. That's probably what he was doing. And out at that time we had one of these sand crawlers, you know, the sand crawler, out in it, where I was sold to the we had this great big sand crawler. And the Algerians sent up a plane because they thought it was a rocket launcher. They sent a spy plane up to see what it was. What I was going to say, that was Tunisia. And we came back, and then the next movie was Empire Strikes Back. And I didn't get involved in the snow scene. They went out to Norway, Finse, a place called Finse, F-I-N-S-E. And it's North Norway, 40 degrees below zero. Apparently the oil in the cameras froze, that everything just froze up. It's good job I didn't go there, you know. Good job I didn't go, because I'd have been the only frigid midget with a rigid digit if I'd have gone. Well, incidentally, we're not called midgets anymore, you know. We are people who are vertically challenged. Didn't know that, did you? I've been horizontally challenged a few times, but I've never been vertically challenged. Oh, there was that time when I was stood on a box. And when she saw the gleam in my eyes, she kicked the box away. Anyway, must go on to that. It's Sunday, isn't it? So I didn't go there, you see. So, but we went to Washington for the premiere, and I took my wife with me. And we stayed at the Watergate. And then my mother lives in Biloxi, Mississippi, because my mother married a GI and divorced my father and came to America and lived in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And she used to shop in Memphis, Tennessee. And she used to, just at the end of the last World War, and she used to send me food parcels of cans of peaches and pears and kinds of stuff we'd never seen in England for years. And clothes, I got all kinds of, from Sears and Roebuck, all these beautiful clothes and fruits and Hershey bars and Lifesavers and all this stuff we'd never seen before, you know. And that was my mother lived in, then she moved from Clarksdale down to Biloxi, which is where she is now, at this moment. And I daren't phone her up and tell her I've been over here, otherwise she'll kill me if I don't go and see her. But you know, you just can't get it in. You see, the guys have paid for the air tickets, and they booked us back on the plane tomorrow lunchtime, I think, isn't it? So by this time tomorrow we could be somewhere near Greenland, or Canada or somewhere. But my mother's about 85, and she's American. She was a naturalized American after the war. And she writes to me like an American. It's funny. She says, I'm driving down the freeway in my Chevrolet, and I get a hole in my radiator. Now I need a hole in my radiator like I need a hole in my head. Now we wouldn't talk like that in England, but this is my mother, and she's 83 or whatever she is. Not a bit of useless information really, isn't it? Nothing to do with Star Wars, but there you go. And then we did the premiere in Washington, and we flew back on the Concorde, which was quite a trip. And we didn't know till we got to the airport that we were going to be on Concorde. Just saw the plane there and thought, I wonder if we're on this. And we were. And it just goes, 60,000 feet was what we were flying. And up there you could see the curvature of the earth. And the skies are dark blue. And I went up to the pilot's cockpit and said, what can you see up here? He said, nothing, there's nobody else up here. Except U-2 spy planes occasionally. Yeah. And then we landed at Heathrow in London, and the plane went. And you know those long undercarriage legs? I thought, Jesus Christ, if they break, we're in trouble. And this American shouts, go back and hit him again, he ain't dead yet. Yeah, that was a magic trip. And then we did the premiere for Empire Strikes Back in London with Princess Margaret, and when she was married at the time to Lord Snowden. And I lived at the time in Birmingham, in England, in the centre of England. And my son was only about 2 or 3, and we were going to get him christened at the local church. And there was a John, what was his name, Derek Hart, in England, did a documentary about little people, all about little people like myself at Warwick. And it was called Born to be Small. And it was all about people like this. And they came to my flat, or my apartment in Birmingham, said, we want to christen your son, we want to film your son's christening. And the poor kid got christened about 25 times. And he kept going, right, take it again, cut, take it again. He nearly got drowned.
Wicket the Ewok from Return of the Jedi, Noah. Kenny Baker, R2-D2, Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. The mighty Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. And last but not least, Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett. Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid that we must now go. Thank you. So, Dave, where did you get to, Dave? Sorry, we're a bit late.
I was actually in 1974 when you came in.
Oh, we got years, yeah, didn't we? Well, 1974.
1974 was a great year.
I was 3.
Were you?
I was
Yeah,
4.
please.
You were 3, Jeremy.
I was
Come on.
3 years old in 1974. See, there's no surprise, look. I won't know, I lied.
I thought you said you'd been 37 years in the business.
Millennium.
I mean, it sounds like it, yeah.
Difficult to say, isn't
A short millennium, yeah.
it? Ladies and gentlemen, you're all gathered.
We've been together now for 40 years, and it don't seem a day too long. Of all the ladies living in the world, and I'd swap for my hero.
There ain't a lady living in the land.
It's happy hour. It's happy hour.
Yeah.
When does the bar open? That's what I want. What do you want to know? It's question time.
Subject or request for singing?
Singing.
Singing.
Now, what do you want to know? Seriously, what do you want? Any questions? Any questions?
There's a microphone over on the right-hand side.
Gentleman here with
There's a
a...
microphone over there if you're gonna.
Dave, I want to ask you.
Me? Oh.
When you saw Jedi,
Yeah.
the unmasked Darth Vader, how did
Yeah.
you feel when?
Pissed off. To be put it mild, pissed off. Yeah. I thought it was the worst possible stroke they could have pulled on me, and they did it. That's it. Simple. Simple as that. Yeah.
What's the one about the parachute?
Somebody asked me, they said, what do they think when they unmasked somebody else's Darth Vader at the finish of the Jedi film? And I said I was really pissed off with it.
I was quite pleased, actually.
We've all
It was
got,
you, wasn't it? It was you in the mask, yeah.
we've all got sub stories like that, David.
Yeah.
No, come on. We can go on forever.
Go on, tell me one then. Tell me
Oh, I
yours.
can tell you
go on.
loads.
Tell me yours.
Well, I was in Palm Springs in March.
What's it got to do with Star Wars?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, we don't want to know about your private life in Palm Springs.
Well, right. Any more nice enlightening questions?
The gentleman there, an extraordinary T-shirt.
I was curious if we're going to see any Boba Fett the next 3 films.
Hopefully no.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Really?
Yeah,
When did you hear?
he's cheap.
No, out of the 5 of us, I am the cheapest actor here, having been a stage actor for many years.
Yeah, yeah.
The money's appalling, so I am cheap. So there's great
A
possibility.
great possibility to be used, yeah. 27 parts.
Would you do it?
I would do it. I would do it. As long as I got a reasonable wage, I could buy a couple of vodka and tonics each evening, I'd be fine.
We have no pride. We will work anywhere for money.
No, I'm on a serious note, Kenny Baker. No, seriously, if the films came up, of course I would do them. I think anybody would. I think, just seeing the amount of people, the interest over the last couple
I
of
think
days.
all you lot would give your right arms to be in Star Wars, wouldn't you?
Might need some extras. Yeah, they might need some extras. Who knows?